Hi everyone. So let's continue. In this video we will cover the basic charts in Tableau. So we will continue working using the same file that was Superstore. So I'll click on this guy because I already have it uploaded here, and I will click on sheet 1. So let's first discuss the bar charts. So bar charts are really very powerful charts, and today let's look at what we can do in Tableau, and we will dive a little bit deeper than what we covered in the previous videos. So let's double click on sales here, and I will also double click on categories. I will also add subcategories, so because we want to drill down, so I'll add also subcategories. As you can see here, we have by default we have the columns. So now it's not clear now what we have here. It doesn't, I have the categories in the top and the subcategories in the bottom. So let's swap. So I'll click on the swap, and this gives me actually a much better picture to look at the values, the categories, subcategories, and then the sales. So I can also click on the sort to look at it in a much better way. So this is one way that we can look. And as you can see here, for example, furniture, the chairs are doing really well, but what about profits? So any of those are not profitable at all. So to do that, let's explore profits. So what I will do is I will select profit from the measures and drop it into color. Boom. So now you can see that we have one product under furniture, which is the tables are not doing really well. So now that's kind of highlighted in the color. But what else can we do? We can actually look at another thing that we can do in Tableau that can help us minimize some of those or reduce some of those dimensions. For office supplies, here we have a lot of dimensions and we have several of those little ones. So maybe what we can do, we can combine some of those little ones into one group. So to do that, I can actually just click each of those, the names of each of those, and while I'm clicking or holding on control, so I'll select all of those guys, and then I will hover over them, and you can see here we have this screen. I'll click on this clip looking icon, and now as you can see, all of those became one group. So now I can actually click on, I can just rename them, or I can actually rename them by right clicking on that and say, so I can actually rename them. I can just edit alias and give it a name. Let's say other. See, this is just an example how we can reduce some of those dimensions. Now, as you have noticed, when we dragged and dropped profit into colors, that tables is problematic. It seems to be there is a problem with tables. So now let's dig deeper and let's understand more about it. So I'll just right click and I will click on keep only. So because we want to investigate and see what's going on here with the tables category. So now I just right clicked and kept only this subcategory, which is the tables. Now let's drill down a little bit more to understand to the product. So in order to see what is going on, so I will select the product name and drop it here after the subcategory because I want to see what's going on. So all those are products or types of tables. I will also sort them ascendingly, and as you can see here, this is not the profit here is negative because the color is orange or brown. As you can see, orange, I would say. So you can actually drill down and investigate each one of those bars. So one way to do that is actually you can just right click, or I'll just click the first bar, and then I can go here where it says view data. I can view the data. I can go and look actually at the full data and even sort by profitability, and I will see which product and in which country this is going on. So this gives you an idea how you can drill down into investigating problems using the bar chart. So now let's move on, and we will cover and discuss scatter plots. So as we know so far, scatter plots are really powerful way to visualize relationships between numeric variables or continuous variables. So now let's look at the relationships. If there is a relationship, so I have a hunch or an intuition that there is a relationship between discount and profitability. So let's investigate this and see if there is a relationship between those. So I will select those two fields, and I will then click on the scatter plot. So I can select discount, and then see if this will work, and then show me scatter plot. So now I have them, and another way that I don't see all of them, so I will need to go to analyze and unselect aggregate measures. So now it looks much better than the previous way, but still I can make it even better by swapping. So now I can see kind of the trend. So the more the discount is given, the less the profitability, or the more it goes towards the negative side. So now this gives me a better picture of the relationship between those two guys. Another thing that I can also do that Tableau enable us to do is actually to select segment and drop it into color. So let's see here. So it shows us the segment. I can, for example, select corporate, and this also allows us to see if there are some outliers. So this is one example. So other things that we can do, that we can also highlight the selected. So that's what we did. You can just highlight the selected and double click on it, just kind of to unselect. Other things that we can also do, as we have learned in our statistics course, is that we can add the trend line, and that will give us a regression equation. So we can go to analytics and then drag and drop the trend line. So, and I will select linear. So now you can see that this is just kind of this is the line. As you can see, as I hover over it, you can see now that the regression line is provided to us. So it is negative 260 times discount plus the 65. So the 65 here is the y-intercept. Remember when we talked about this, the y-intercept. And then the slope is the negative 260.388. So remember, when we say the slope is negative, that means the relationship between those two variables is negative. And then it is also providing us with a p-value, which tells us whether this relationship between profit and discount is significant or not. So as you can see here, the p-value is very low. So the null must go. So remember, the p-value is very low, then the relationship is significant. And the R square tells us here it is kind of low in comparison. It is only 10%. So discounts explain only 10% of the variance of profit. So it is low, but it's still significant. So this is really kind of helpful to have this trend line. So let me just take it out. Now let's see what else we can look at. Now we can actually go ahead and explore line graphs. So I will add a new sheet and we can look and see what we can do using Tableau with line graphs. Normally we can use them actually to look at the relationships between two variables, but line graphs are normally used when we want to look at how something changes over time. In other words, it is called time series analysis. So let's start by looking at sales over time. So I will just double click on sales, and then I will double click on order date. There's order date, and as you can see here we have a line graph and a line. So now what else can we do using Tableau? Let's say that we want more detail than just yearly sales, so let's expand to our quarter and even month. So you can do this, and I'll just add quarter and even months. So quarter, and then I will add months. So now I don't want quarter, so I'll drag it out and drop it here. So now I have months but for each year. Remember when we said this this date here is discrete, that means it is categorical, but we can always make it, if we want, we can always make it continuous or measures by changing. So we talked about this in a previous video. So for example, here we can drag year to color. So I can drag year from here and drop it into color. That's one way we can see the difference between the years. And this is one way. Another way we can do, actually, you can just drag year and click on control and put it into color. So then you can keep it into categories. So there are two ways that you can do it. Well, either way will be fine. So this is kind of how powerful Tableau can allow us to work with it. So now we have looked at the color. Let's get back to a separate line chart for each year. So now we have a separate line chart for each year. If I want to look at a common calculation for time series data, like year-over-year growth, it's very easy. What I can do is just right click on the green sum, and then I can select quick table. Let's say that growth, so year-over-year growth. So this kind of shows me the year-over-year growth. Another thing that I can also do is I can add a forecast. So let me do this one. I can do a forecast, and I can just go to analytics and select and drop the forecast. So analytics, and then I'll go forecast, and then I will just drop it. So as you can see here, the forecast is there. Let's say that I want only years. Let's see how that will work. That's one way. So you can see here the forecast for the year that is coming, 2015. Our data stops at 2014, so this is our forecast for 2015. So what about, we can also add something we can add the average line from here. So we have average line, you can just put it into pane. Now we have the average line for each. So let me just drag this one guy. Let's see that I don't want to show this. I'll keep it for now, but you got the idea here. We have the average line, it is provided to us, and let's say that I want to select only a few lines. You will notice that the average line has changed based on the data points that I have selected. So it is really helpful, and as you can see here, the average line is actually increasing every year, so that tells us that there is a growth. Alright, let's see what else is there in Tableau that we can uncover. Alright, so we can also actually change this type of graphs here. So if you look at this area under marks, we can select, let's say, the bar chart. We can select, let's say, the circle. And we can even select the area graph. So now let's go on and continue, and we will explore histograms. So I'll add the new sheet, and then we will explore histograms. So let me double click on discount, and then as you can see here, the default bar is a bar chart, and we can add more data to break it out by segment, for example. So let's see, I will add, let's say, segment. I can add segment here. But if we are just interested in learning more about the various discounts that we offer, so let's look at, I'll just take off segments, and then I will go to show me, and then I'll change to histogram. So this is the histogram. I'll select it, and as you can see here, we have a very nice histogram that tells me the percentage or the number of discounts for each of the discount category. So we have 0 discounts. This is how much the count of discount, how many discounts that were given as 0, basically no discounts at all. So that's the number of sales, or yeah, sales. And then this is when the amount of discount was 0.08. So this is kind of each of the pins. That's one way you can look at it this way. Another way, you can actually create your own pin. It's going to look very similar to this. Just in case you want to create your own pin, you can just say create pins, and let's say that we want the size of each pin to be 0.1, means 10%. I'll click OK. Now I have this guy. Let me take this guy out, and this is the guy that I just created. They are the same. So as you can see here, the 0 pin, the 0 bin is this kind of high, which is expected when no discounts are provided, and then the 10% bin is, and between 10 and 20 is pretty large. So you got the idea that there has been also a lot of discounts, almost 318 discounts with 80%, which is kind of alarming. Let's say that you are suspicious about these, and you want to look more into what's going on. So you can just right click on this guy and go into view data. and investigate more what is going on, why those were given and to whom, and so on, like what we did earlier. So that's one way. Another thing, let's say that we can add more data if we want. For example, we can drag category into color. So let's see, category into color, and see what is the most category that has the highest discount. So as you can see here, it seems to be the office supplies was given the highest discount. So those are some of the ways that we can do in Tableau. So now let's look at heat maps. So I will add the new sheet and we'll explore together the heat maps. So for heat maps, it allows us actually, let's say that we want to visualize the margins, means the margins. So if you notice here, we don't have margins yet, so we will need to create a new variable or a new measure. We will call it margin. So we will be able to create a calculated field, and we will call it margin. To do that, we can just go to analysis and then create calculated value, and then we can call it margin. And then here we'll just type sum, and then I'll type here bracket profit, and then I'll divide it by sum, and then I'll put sales. Now I'm done. So it says the calculation is valid. So as long as it is valid, then you should be good. I'll click OK. But if it says it's not valid, or it has kind of exclamation mark, you might have forgotten maybe to put some here, or you misspelled. So I'll say OK. Now I have margin here in the measures area. So what I need to do now, I'll just drag category and subcategory to row, and then I'll drill down by subcategory into row, and I can also drag order date to columns, and then I can actually change this to month discrete. So remember how we do that? We say this area is discrete and these are the area for continuous or measures. So I'll select month discrete here. So now I will drag also category to filter, drag it here to filter and drop, select all and say OK. And then I might need to show filter here. So, and I want to select only furniture. So in this case, I'm interested only in furnitures, because that's where we had some loss. So now I will just drag the margin field into the visualization. I will drop it here. So margin that we just created, and drop it here. Now as you can see here, we have tables, but it doesn't tell us much. So in order to get more information, we can actually create a heat map. So I will select the heat map. So I'll go to show me, and then heat map is here. And another thing that I can do to make it more professional is actually to select this guy from the marks area and drag it and drop it into color. Boom. So you can see here we have beautiful heat map. I will just adjust the margins here. So as you can see here, the tables, it's this actually tells us or gives us much better insights than the table that we had earlier. Remember that with the numbers only, those numbers here doesn't tell us much, but this is much better now. it gives us better insights as managers. So that was all that I wanted to cover. There are actually more types of charts and graphs that are provided in Tableau, and we might actually cover some of those in a more advanced video, maybe towards the end of the semester. So thank you.